everything.
Hey guys, today we're going to be interviewing someone very special and who I'm a huge fan of, Quincy Larson from Free Code Camp. He's the creator and founder of freecodecamp.com. He also has a very popular tech blog on Medium. It's actually number 1 in tech and number 11 on the entire website, so he's killing it over there. Very interesting guy. I always enjoy talking to him. We're going to be covering a lot of things. We're going to be talking about internships, specifically for high school students and those in college. We're going to be talking about coding boot camps and college CS degrees. We're also going to be we took subscriber questions at the end, so we'll be talking about the Udacity Nano degrees and the team Treehouse degrees, his opinion on those, and we talk about, I believe it was University 42 as well. So we cover a whole mess of things and a few things that I left out. Enjoy. I had a great time talking to him and learned a lot. I hope you guys do too. So I talked with Simple Programmer about a month back, and I talked to him about how to get a programming job was like a good portion of it. And I really because I watched your like how to become better at coding video that was on Matt's channel, right? It was great. And so I want to kind of stray away from topics that you kind of covered, because he took, by the way, which was my idea. Let me tell him. I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna interview Quincy about this topic, and he's like, psych, I'm gonna do it first, right? So what I want to kind of cover is get a little bit of insight on internships and like the younger crowd, right? So the people who are in high school or maybe even younger than that. So I think that's what we're gonna focus on, along with maybe how to get a job as well, just because I get that question a lot, and I feel like you can definitely share some knowledge, as well as people have been asking for timelines and things like that. Like everyone wants those hard dates. Like when is this coming out on Free Code Camp? What's it going to be like and stuff?
Yeah,
like that.
I hate to sound like I'm like, I don't know. The answer is those will be available when they're ready. We don't practice deadlines within Free Code Camp. We're a volunteer-driven organization, and I used to set like ambitious Elon Musk style, like we're gonna make it to the moon by 2027. Instead of doing that, what I've found works much better when your entire team is volunteers, basically, is to just encourage people to continue to gradually make progress, building out whatever component they're working on of the overall platform and curriculum. And as a result, things are progressing. It's just that things are getting done about the same rate they would normally get without all the stress. What deadlines generally do is they just add a whole bunch of stress, and they make managers feel like they can be accountable to their managers and their managers. Like Free Code Camp, of course, we're all just accountable to the campers, to the community itself. So no deadlines.
Is there anything in terms of will be coming out soon, if you can say that? Like
I can tell you the general progression of features and content. So we're getting ready to ship the Reactified platform, which will be much faster. We have a tremendous volume of features that are trapped on that branch, basically, because like React is like a complete blood transfusion of the platform. So we're passwordless authentication, improved user profiles and options, multi-language options, where you can basically have, if you prefer to do the Spanish challenges in Spanish or Chinese or some of these other languages, we're working on incorporating them, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to contribute translations and then them just to go live next time we push. So we're going to gradually, bit by bit, translate the entire Free Code Camp curriculum into many world languages.
Nice. That's definitely gonna be helpful, because I know I look at my analytics, and about 55% of my audience isn't from America, so I'm sure people will definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I looked at our analytics. Well, so the best place to look, in my opinion, is Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Wikipedia, right there, it's very easy to create it's not very easy, but it's relatively easy to create a new article on Wikipedia. And basically they have every major world language. If you look at the breakdown of their traffic, about 50% of all traffic to Wikipedia is to the English version, and 50% is to the long tail of other world languages.
Let's jump over to internships.
I was just going to say, I don't know how it is now, but in a lot of industries, the interns actually get a lot of the major work done. And a lot of other people are up there too busy and important in meetings and stuff. So I would imagine as an intern, you will get to work on some good, hard problems and learn a wide range of skills and get exposure to a lot of different things.
Yeah, nice.
There's a guy named Jonathan Z. White who interned at Airbnb. He's a second-year university student, and he has worked on all kinds of things. He would be a good guest for your show. I would recommend.
What would your advice to be to, let's say, someone who's about 18, about to graduate high school, and they're trying to get that internship? They're trying to get a little bit of resume experience. How would you say they should go about that?
Well, first of all, I would strongly recommend everybody go to university. I'll just throw this out there. I think everybody who's 18 years old should go to an inexpensive public university if you're here in the U.S. Because that opens a tremendous amount of doors, and more importantly, it keeps several doors from closing. People, like, the culture is you should have a college degree. Yes, there are plenty of developers who don't have college degrees. However, I think that if they had gotten a university degree and done a ton of internships throughout their university studies, they would be even better off than they are now. I'm not saying that university is necessarily tremendously useful. You will learn a lot of stuff, but it's just part of, like, the hiring culture and everything, and it's going to take to change, really. Even though you've been able to learn everything you wanted to learn online for 20 years, and universities are still as big as they've ever been, right? So I would strongly encourage everybody to go to a university that they can afford without taking a lot of debt. Community colleges are great, even if it seems like kind of joking, you're not learning a lot. Basically treat it as an opportunity to socialize and learn a couple things that you wouldn't have otherwise learned, because you'll have to do that through the general ed classes. Then as many internships as possible. Like, if you could do an internship every summer, or you can even do internships while you're still carrying a basic course load. You can intern at local companies. You should definitely try to get internships at the big prestigious companies, like Facebook is a big one. I know Google offers a lot of internships, and then like Airbnb and Uber and a lot of these other newer unicorn companies also have good internships, and a lot of them have very strong engineering culture you can learn a lot from.
Yeah, I know. Just a side note about internships is hackathons. Also, guys, I've gone to only 2. I hope to go to more, but at both of them, there were companies that at the start of it said, "Hey, we're looking for interns." So if you're, a lot of people don't know where to apply online or how to go about it. A lot of times, just showing up and introducing yourself and say, "Hey, I can do basic JavaScript and I'm hungry to learn." And they'll be like, "All right, here's minimum wage, but here's the experience." That's really what you need sometimes.
Yeah, and if people are paying you to program, even if it's minimum wage or whatever, they're paying you to learn what you need to learn and practice what you need to practice. So it's really a win, in my opinion. That said, you'd be amazed at how lavish a lot of the internships you can get are as a developer. I mean, people make like $60,000 a year, the equivalent of working as maybe 70 or 80,000, depending on the company, working as interns.
Yeah, well, the intern at our work, he is a second-year computer science student, and I believe he's making like $20 an hour. He's working like 20 hours a week, and it's helping to pay for his school. But he's building actual web applications and things like that. So a lot of valuable experience.
And again, like, there are so many employers. Everybody's experience is going to be a little bit different. But if you can get an internship at one of the more prize companies, then I can pretty much guarantee that you'll be learning a ton the entire time. And, like, I think Facebook and Google actually hire some of their interns. So it can basically be a fast track to a job at a good tech company. Now, I think it's only like 1 in 5 people that interns there actually gets hired. But still, it's a lot better than just sending in an application.
It's better than 0 and 5. That's for sure.
Absolutely. One other thing I'll say about internships is a lot of it comes down to who you know. You should absolutely be buddying up with every college professor you can. You don't want to be like a total, teacher's pet or whatever, but basically just talk to them proactively. Don't wait for them. Don't expect them to seek you out among your tens or hundreds of colleagues, classmates, and choose you as the sky and the anointed one who's going to be their star pupil. You need to proactively reach out to these people, these professors, and make connections. Also, you should join student groups. You should join the ACM, which is the Association of Computing Machines, I believe is what it stands for. But basically, it's the professional, it's the club for software development, and it goes back to like the 50s or 60s. It's a really old organization, but that looks very good on your resume, and a lot of hiring managers will see that and think, "Oh, okay, this isn't some guy who just smoked weed and played Halo throughout college. He was actually meeting people."
Yeah, he smoked weed and he played Halo and he went to a computer meetup. So
yeah, maybe.
ACM was something I was involved in. I was a member while I was in school, and I ended up being the secretary for a little bit. So,
nice.
But to mention that, it was something that when I was applying for internships that I would get interviewed, and someone would, I had one or two people say, "Oh, you're part of this. How is it running at Cal State LA?" And so it's a little bit different everywhere, but it's definitely a great resource to be a part of. I know Free Code Camp is, goes over JavaScript and web development specifically. Is that would you say that's probably the best area to get started in if you're a novice and you're like, look, should I learn web development? Should I learn some, backend? Should I learn mobile? What would you kind of say is a great entry level place to get started?
Absolutely, web development and JavaScript. In fact, I wrote an article about this like 2 weeks ago. It's been viewed like more than 100,000 times on Medium. Basically, the title of the article is "What Programming Language Should I Learn First?" I actually chose the term "what programming language" instead of "which programming language" because I looked at the Google trends and significantly more people were typing the grammatically incorrect version.
Yeah.
So I wanted to maximize their likelihood of finding my article instead of finding some of this random kind of, Business Insider spam type stuff. So basically, the real reasons, the arguments for JavaScript are, it's very well documented. Like there are tons of resources. Okay, Free Code Camp is just one. Khan Academy teaches JavaScript. Codecademy started out with just JavaScript. That was like their go-to language. There are a lot of other, like Jafar Hussein has like a cool functional programming thing, and it's all in JavaScript and it's interactive. You can do it in the browser. Of course, Node School teaches JavaScript. So there are a tremendous number of JavaScript related resources that you can choose from and mix and match Omikase to create your own preferred blend of JavaScript learning. There are a tremendous number of great books, many of which are completely free, by the way. Kyle Simpson's You Don't Know JS, you can get it for free online. I recommend you buy the book to support Kyle Simpson, but you can read the entire HTML version of the book for free online, and it's just a treasure trove of deep thoughts about JavaScript. And then, so learning resources is one. The second thing is it's a high-level scripting language. You can do virtually anything with it. Thanks to Node.js, you can do Internet of Things. If you want to like program your dishwasher, you can do that with JavaScript. You can write a lot of games in JavaScript, and they'll just run right in the browser. The main important thing about JavaScript, I would say, above all else, is it's very easy to sense your progress. It's very easy to create an artifact that you can quickly share. You just share the URL to CodePen or JSPen or whatever, and people are like going in and playing with your stuff and giving you feedback instantly. You cannot do that with Python. Generally, you cannot do that with Java. They tried the Java applets for a long time, and They just recently retired them. If you remember those from like the early 2000s.
I try to forget everything I know about Java. I'm just done with that language.
Yeah, Java is not a good beginner's language. I don't know why it was taught at university. It was a huge mistake. Certainly not for CS 101 classes. Java is a powerful language, obviously. That's why it's still so widely used, but it's not a good beginner's language. Python's a good beginner's language, but again, you're basically just doing math and science type programming. You can try to build some games in Python, but it's not very portable, and it's not really designed with that in mind. Like, in my opinion, Python is great at doing statistics and data science and other types of quantitative work. One other thing I'll say about JavaScript, the job market for JavaScript developers, not just developers who know JavaScript, but people who've actually gone deep in JavaScript, much more favorable than Python or Java. And don't get me started on Ruby. Ruby's like completely saturated. There's like so many people seeking a job for every single job posting. I could share my screen and show the chart.
Yeah, let me see here. Is this, yeah.
Okay, cool. So if I go to medium.freecodecamp.com, that's our Medium. It's our Medium publication. If I scroll down here for a while, it's probably in here.
You guys should definitely, if you haven't already signed up with your emails to the Medium publication, I read them all the time. Usually they're pretty quick, and if I remember correctly, you always kind of, which one of the things I really like is you actually say how long of a read it is. So like, if I don't want to do a 10-minute read, I want to do a 4-minute read, I'll choose it based off that. I like that a lot.
Right. One thing I'll say, like, there's this cool looking which programming language should I learn first infographic. This looks cool and it's fun, but please do not use this to make such a big decision. I mean, this is just kind of, it's cute, but I would not put any weight on it. So I've got a lot of cool web comics and stuff that I've blended in here, but let me get to the job market stuff. Okay, so this is the job market for various languages. So you can see that there are 2.7 job seekers per posting for Java. Here, like the chart, it's kind of obscured by this legend, but you can see Java definitely has the highest ratio of job seekers to job postings, meaning that there are a ton of people who know Java, but there aren't a whole lot of employers that are looking for Java developers at the moment. Python's not as bad. Ruby's not as bad. Android and iOS and PHP are pretty saturated as well. And then way down here, you have JavaScript, which there are 1.7 job postings per job seeker, meaning it's so low that they had to flip it.
Yep.
So basically, if you specialize in JavaScript, there are 1.7 job postings out there for you on average and everybody else who's looking for a job. So you're much more likely to find a job. There's much less competition. And also because JavaScript is so new, very few people, it's new to actually be like a viable programming language. Like a lot of people rip on JavaScript, but they don't realize how much JavaScript is, how far JavaScript has come within just the last few years.
Yeah. So that was actually really, so I like, as a JavaScript developer, that makes me feel very good looking at something like that because it's I didn't realize there was such a huge discrepancy.
Yeah, people have. I mean, like a vast majority of coding boot camps are still using Ruby on Rails. I think it's more out of them not wanting to have to update their curricula than anything. But you can do a lot of stuff with Ruby on Rails, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it to a beginner. Ruby, the language itself, is very easy to use, but again, like once you learn some basic syntax with JavaScript, you can code just as easily in JavaScript as you can in Ruby, more or less.
Well, so if my short-term memory sucks, but if I remember correctly, Java was the most oversaturated one, or close to it.
Yeah, that's correct. It was way oversaturated.
And that is the #1 language taught in at the universities, which is crazy.
So recently Python passed Java, which I talk about in my article, and it's at least at top computer science programs they switched over to teaching Python. But I predict that in the next 3 or 4 years, even slow universities are going to come around and say, like, we should teach JavaScript.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different opinion about universities versus coding boot camps, but so
I will tell you. I will tell you that most of the people who I know who went to a coding boot camp also graduated from university. I haven't met that many people who didn't go to university, who went to a coding boot camp, who went out and got a good job. Like it's just less likely. And I think this is evidenced by the fact that most boot camp participants have a university degree. I think that they have there's a strong selection bias there. Like they want to select people whom they think are going to be like 90% of the way there so they can give them the last 10% and get them a job.
Yeah, I don't even want to get talking. This is like political for me, so I don't even want to.
We can talk about it if you want. I don't have like emotional feelings, but I have rooted in statistics as somebody who's worked in higher education for the last 10 years. Man, I have perspectives on that. Maybe I'm biased by virtue of having spent so much time at the university.
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the mindset that it's good for certain people, right? It's some people do need that. They need that structure. They need that 4 to 6 years of, I just want to learn a little bit of everything and not even necessarily focus on coding. Obviously we're talking about computer science and software engineering. And some people need that. Some people, I'm of the type of someone who's done that. And I still have a year left on my degree. I'm debating if I want to finish online or not. But I'm of the type that believe that it works for certain people, doesn't work for others. Like it doesn't work for me. I had an absolute miserable experience. I think I would do much better being self-taught and doing online resources. But it's just different people work in different things. The thing that messes with me is the fact that you're teaching someone. People go to school most of the time to get a job, and you're teaching the students things that, as we saw in the graph there, is saturated with languages that aren't necessarily, you're going to have a harder time getting a job. So you should be teaching JavaScript. You should be teaching something that's a little bit more people actually want to hire you for. And that's what really upsets me about it more than anything else.
Yeah, well, I will say that like the main thing you learn in like an undergrad computer science program, if you even do computer science, I know a lot of people who did math or philosophy is actually really useful if like for thinking about software development. Philosophy is useful for everything. Economics, any sort of quantitative heavy degree will kind of give you that mindset to solve problems and understand like the underlying causes and stuff and just kind of give you practice at it and make it a little bit more intuitive when you're actually coding. I would say that a lot of people think that university has to be this like, oh, you wave goodbye to your parents at 18 and you move into the dormitory and then you emerge 4 years later after having drank, thousands of beers and, spent countless hours doing, goofing around and stuff instead of actually getting work done. But I think like what is going to become more typical, if it isn't already more typical in this country, in the United States, is that people will work throughout college. Like I worked at Taco Bell, before I got a job at a newspaper. I worked as a teacher, like teaching English to school children while I was still an undergrad. And I think that that's how it should be. I think people should be working the entire time and they should be doing classes part-time. I think the college experience where you do nothing but like sit around this big open campus and meditate on life and try to discover your passion and all that stuff, I think that's like completely overrated and it's not a very good use of people's time. I think
and money.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the big things is like even living on campus, like universities have been designed for residents, not for commuter students. But in fact, commuter students are still paying all these fees to subsidize these other people. It's kind of, I mean, man, don't even get me started. It's such a huge mess, the American university system.
Now, since we're on the topic of education, let's go a little bit more of a new school route. I got asked this earlier. What is your opinion on like Udacity's nano degree, or like I think Team Treehouse has like these degree programs as well?
I think that they should be used in conjunction with traditional university degrees. Okay. And also, I think like certifications, in general. They're barely worth the paper they're printed on. Like, I would not expect for any of these to just be like make you a shoe-in for a job. You're still going to need to do whiteboard coding. Probably you're still going to need to do some sort of take-home assignment or pair program with the hiring manager so they can make sure that you can, code your way out of the proverbial cardboard box. Like what I would say is, I don't think Udacity is like, if you read the fine print on Udacity where they guarantee you a job, and I've read it, it basically, the threshold for getting a job is so low that like you could basically go out and get a job at McDonald's and you would no longer be eligible for a refund. But I would just urge you, like, not to believe the hype and not to believe that these nano degrees are tantamount to getting a 4-year university degree. First of all, they're like, I think 300 or 400 hours of coursework, which, Free Code Camp is 1,200 hours of coursework plus a whole bunch of nonprofit projects. Like, basically, you'll be contributing extensively to open source, large teams, and we're building. We wrote about this recently, but it's called Open Source for Good. So we're transitioning from doing smaller one-off projects to those one-off projects, basically creating an open source, further extend and maintain for the benefit of other nonprofits.
Any thoughts on Team Treehouse and their kind of setup?
Yeah, I think the content is good from what I can tell. It seems to be more lecture driven. I don't know how much of it you can do in the browser. The main beef I have with Treehouse is that the CEO of Treehouse had these ads on YouTube a while back where he was basically like, you don't need to go to college, just go to Treehouse. And I thought that was very irresponsible. I think we have an obligation as educators to maximize our learners' fitness for the job market, maximize the likelihood of them having a good result. And telling people they shouldn't go to college is irresponsible.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it similar to like some of these certificate programs. It's really what you get out of it. Like, can you take, Free Code Camp, you build all these applications. Now can you go and build your own and go from there and like do all these sort of things? And you should be able to take this core foundation and do something with that core. But if you're just reiterating what's out there, you're going to have a harder time. Do you have any advice for people in high school that are trying to hit the ground running?
Yeah, I would just, there should be some sort of computer science club. If there's not, start one. Your school should definitely have some sort of programming club. And you can be the president if there isn't one. You can be the only person in the room. And so get together with your classmates and code, work through existing stuff, solve Project Euler problems, work through Free Code Camp, work through some of the excellent classic textbooks on computer science. If you really are bold, the ACM has a huge list of classic books, most of which are from the 70s and 80s, but that'll really give you a good understanding of the theory and where things came from.
Another good resource if you're in high school is just go on Meetup. There's always usually, if you're in any sort of city, I've gone to tons of meetups. I always learn so much. I meet so many people, some of which have offered me jobs down the road as well. So, and internships and things like that.
Yeah, I would absolutely second that. I think that, like, don't be intimidated because you're a high schooler. Like, to give you an idea, age is just a number, right? Like, on our core team right now, we have several campers who are 18 years old. We have one camper who's 16, and we have a camper who's 14. And they're on the core team with serious responsibility within the Free Code Camp community.
Where do you feel all these JavaScript frameworks and library are going? Is it okay to kind of focus on libraries or like what is your kind of general feel about? Because the little joke one is, oh, I create a new framework and every week, right?
Right. I mean, first of all, don't worry too much about like the newfangled toy, like shiny new toys. I would strongly recommend you just focus on basics. Learn JavaScript, learn functional programming, learn object-oriented programming, because even though it's not like fully supported in JavaScript, it'll help you if you do other programming languages later. And you should eventually, after you've mastered JavaScript, you should branch out and learn Python probably, and maybe learn, some of these other more fancy languages. I would say if you focus on the fundamentals, you'll be very well equipped to adapt to a rapidly changing framework landscape. Use frameworks as necessary. I wouldn't seek out I think I'm just going to arbitrarily go and spend the weekend learning Angular. You could spend that time instead getting really good with JavaScript, and that'll help you everywhere.
I don't know, are you familiar with 42 University at all?
Yes.
What are your thoughts about it?
I think that the guy who is running it, his heart's in the right place, but I think it's a mistake if you have that kind of money to not have teachers. It's a huge mistake. I don't believe that people are going to spontaneously teach each other as well as if they happen to also have some people who already know the subject domain who can help them. So there is a lot of research around peer learning, and that's what FreeCodeCamp uses. FreeCodeCamp uses a similar model to what 42 uses, but I'm not a telecom billionaire, and I'm not I look at that office and it's just $1,000 monitor, row of $1,000 Apple monitors after row of $1,000 Apple monitors, and I'm thinking man, if you really want to make a difference, just hire one or two actual teachers. Hire Kyle Simpson or somebody to come over and actually teach instead of just saying, here's all the content, figure it out, which is basically what they're doing. I think it'll work because they're, again, just the same reason why Harvard works and why the most elite boot camps work is because they always choose the very best people from the beginning. They filter out everybody else. So these people are going to succeed regardless, but you get the credit. You know what I'm saying? That's how selective organizations work. The smartest people go to Harvard, so everybody assumes that Harvard is the best university, when in fact they're just the best at selecting the smartest people to put in there.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. Is there anything you want to tell people to go check out, anything to promote, your blog, Medium, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I would recommend checking out our Medium publication. I think it's a good place to start. It's useful for everyone. We publish articles about Python and Java and stuff like that on there too. We also publish articles about design, about data science, basically anything that's technical that we think is related to people who are practicing coding or learning to code, we publish there. And right now it's the largest technical publication on Medium, and it's the 11th largest overall publication on Medium, and it's growing pretty rapidly. So there will be very good, very relevant content on there. Just go check it out, medium.freecodecamp.com.
Well, thank you again. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and I'll be chopping this video up and putting it up pretty soon. So I appreciate the time, man. Everyone was very excited, myself included. I love what you're doing at Free Code Camp. I've been a big fan since I saw it, and it's only getting better. So,
thank you. One thing I will say that I totally forgot: we're on YouTube, right? Free Code Camp does have a YouTube channel, and one of the people I was talking about earlier, I told you all that there's a 14-year-old kid who basically contributes tremendously to our core team. I just want to give a shout out to him. His name is @Jonathan, AT Jonathan, and he's just super cool. And he does all the the behind the scenes YouTube editing and deals with closed captions and making sure all the metadata is correct on the videos. He's a huge help. So if you go to YouTube/FreeCodeCamp, you can check out, we have a lot of conceptual videos. We generally tend to focus on the whiteboard explanation for theoretical concepts and stuff. So you may find that useful.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Quincy. In the description, I wanted to include 2 links so you can kind of get a feel for his writing, whether it be on Quora or whether it be on Medium. The first one was the link to the blog that we covered, which was what is the first programming language I should learn? The other is a Quora answer that Quincy gave, which is, who is more hireable, someone with 3 years of work experience and no degree, or someone with a degree but an internship and an internship as experience. So these are the type of things you can expect from Quincy and his writing. And as I said, I read some of these on occasion, and all of them are great reads, and I highly encourage you to check it out. He's the #1 in tech on Medium for a reason, you know. So check it out. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. A special thanks to you who support me on Patreon. It's going above and beyond, and I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching the video. Special thanks to our sponsor, Dev Mountain. Definitely check them out at devmountain.com. If you're looking for a boot camp that's in front-end development, iOS, or UX, go ahead and give them a shot. Tuition includes housing, so you can get up and go and fully immerse yourself in the program. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.